Hello, just some guy fishing here. Today I'm going to make a quick fly. If you watch my other videos, go out and explore a video fishing and wading small streams. There'll be a link below in the bottom for you to click it if you haven't watched it. This is the fly that caught most of the fish in that video. Several panfish, some creek chubs. It's a great fly. Right here. This is a version of what we're going to be making. Just a little nymph, beadhead nymph. We're going to be using a size 12 nymph hook. We got 2.8 millimeter tungsten bead head. I'm using some ultra wire copper. Got a peacock herl, and then I'm using my thread. Sorry, I don't remember the denier, and I've already put it in here. But it's a small thin thread, decent strength. And the last thing I have is some dubbing, which I made myself. It's a mix of two different colors, a tan and a green. Made the dubbing myself out of some yarn and a coffee grinder. Might make another video with that someday. There's also other methods you can do with brushes and things. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get my hook out. And I am going to put my hook into my plunger style hackle pliers. So that this is going to help me get the bead on. Little thing I've done is a trick of mine. I've written it on my bags. I've used a scale to measure everything, and these beads are 1 gram, 0.1 gram. Alright, so this tiny little bead, which you probably can't even see in the camera there, I have to get onto this hook. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it into the palm of my hand. Get up there in the camera. And then I'm just going to hook right through it. Sorry, I'm going the wrong way. You want the thin part of the bead to be in the front and the opening to be in the back. So I've got it on there, and I can release the hackle style pliers, and the bead is officially on there. It's not coming off unless I let it slip off. I'm going to get that secured into my vise. And then get my thread, and I'm going to get it started on there. You start like you start any flies, you wrap over your thread going back, and then come back forward, and you're secure. You can snip off that end. And I'm going to get some good coverage on it. I'm going to go all the way to the back, past where the barb is. I'm undecided if I'm going to keep the barb on here or not. It's not always necessary to have a barb to get the fish. People think it is, and I guess I do too. But it is much easier to get it out of a fish if you don't have the barb, especially if they attempt to swallow it. Alright, so I'm going to get my peacock herl. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a tiny little tail with the peacock herl. I'm going to cut off about 2 inches of it. And I'm going to fold it over itself. And I'm going to tie it on there. I'm not too worried about the length because I can come back with scissors and change the length. So you make sure you have it long enough. You can't change that, but you can make it smaller. Alright, so I've wrapped all the way forward. The nut is completely secured in there. Now I gotta just figure out where exactly I want it to start. I believe right here is where I want it. I'm not going to cut those any shorter now. I'll cut them shorter later if I choose to. So what I want to do here, I'm going to get some of my wire, the copper wire. I'm going to cut off about 2 inches. I like to use different for the metals. Don't use my scissors because you don't want to mess those blades up. It's good to get good, clean cuts, especially if you're trying to make something look pretty, which I do sometimes. Sometimes I don't really care because the fish are just going to tear it up. It's strange making an art that the intention of throwing it away and destroying it. But very enjoyable for some reason. Alright, so I am just going to wrap this on there. I'm going to give a clockwise spin to my thread so that the loop of the thread automatically comes back and helps me grab hold of it. And just make sure that I have that securely wrapped in all the way back to where the tail is going to start. And I'm just going to let that hang out there. Pull my thread down about 3 inches. Lick my fingers and get the thread a little damp. You can also use chapstick to get your thread wet. Now I'm just going to take a little bit of that dubbing. Really not much. Get pinched between my fingers. Get kind of loose. And we're just going to lay it over this thread. This is something that I've been working on, but not very proficient at. Just roll it between your fingers on the thread. Basically, you're just spinning some thread here. But I think I overthink it. Alright, so we're going to get that started. Keeping an eye on it, make sure that it's tightening it up and doing it's basically just building a body here. Alright, I think that's going to work out pretty good. And keep it nice and tight. Overlapping just a little bit to build up some. We're going to use all of this so we can kind of just keep pulling it forward. And then we're going to stack it up just a little bit right behind the head or the bead. And that's going to make sure that bead stays all the way in the front. Alright, all that dubbing is on there, and I'm just going to make a couple loops behind the bead. Pull my thread down and get my plunger style hackle pliers out again and get hold of this wire. Just start bringing that around. And we're just gonna trying to make keep some even spacing between this wire so that we make a little band around the fly. Again, you're not going to be judged by the fish. They're not going to say, oh, he should have gone another millimeter with that. You see where he didn't overlap that properly. Alright, got one more turn here right behind this bead head. Then I'm going to grab my thread and come over, locking that wire down. Second pull. And a third, just because it makes me feel good. And then we're going to come back in here and cut that wire. It's very thin and easy to cut, but like I said before, don't use my scissors because I want to maintain the blade on the scissors. Alright, I'm going to get my whip finisher. And I'm just going to whip finish this. A couple turns. And now to finish it one more time, but I'm going to grab my Sally Hansen's hard as nails and just dab that little bit right here at the head and get it on this thread. And then a couple turns here. Tighten it up. Snip it off. If you got any wild fuzzies in there, you can kind of just come around and clean it up a little bit if you're worried about them. And I am going to cut this tail so that it is about the length of the hook gap. Perfect. And there we have it, folks. A bead-headed nymph. Go out there, see what you can do with this. Just throw it in the water, let it come down the stream. Panfish love it. They'll see it, and the bead will flash, and it just looks like a little nymph that's coming down the river. They'll eat it up. So until next time, click like, click subscribe, ring that bell. Let's go catch one.